James Evan Pilato, our guest right here on the Intel Hub radio show. Also joined with us is Bob Tuskin. James's website is Media Monarchy, talking about all sorts of stuff, these food world order topics. You know, they have these spider goats. They've cloned different things. Who knows? They've probably even cloned humans by now. I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, things are
Clone
getting pretty
humans.
strange.
They probably
Uh,
got little Obamas walking around, or maybe
sure.
Obama's a clone. We talked about with Freeman about
Mm-hmm.
how, what is he, Akhenaten or
Akhenaten.
whatever. I'm sure I'm
Oh
messing
yeah.
it up. From
Akhenaten.
Egypt, one of
Yeah.
the pharaohs back in the day
I
from
believe
Egypt.
even the Radiohead album Kid A is a reference to the first cloned human, whether or not they do or do not exist yet.
Huh.
That's interesting. And then you hear these stories of these super soldiers, and then they say they're sending in this 140 man team from the U.S. over to Fukushima, but there's a 15-man special team
Well, see,
going
Shep,
in.
these guys already have two heads, so they're not as affected by the radioactive
Absolutely.
materials.
Because two heads are better than one.
That's exactly right. I was waiting for that. I set you up. Anyways, here's a quick story here about some health stuff. Strawberries. Do you guys eat strawberries sometimes?
Absolutely.
Well,
Yeah.
there turns out they may help prevent against esophageal cancer. I don't know if you guys are concerned about that at all, but a small study shows slowing of precancerous lesions for people who ate freeze-dried strawberries. I don't eat freeze-dried strawberries too often. I wonder if eating fresh strawberries, you would think that would be better for you than freeze-drying anything.
You
But
know,
this is
actually,
from
at work yesterday, and some folks may know I work at a grocery store here in Oregon, and it's an independent chain. Which actually, Bob, I think we did reference that the
Yeah,
last
we
time.
did last time.
Last time
asked
I
you
was
if it
on the
was,
show.
what was it?
I was like,
Trader
it's
Joe's.
not Trader Joe's. We do battle in a way with the
Yeah.
Trader Joe's and the Whole Foods of the world, but
Oh, by the way, you heard Whole Foods though, and I think I may have said this last time too, that they're owned by Monsanto now, supposedly.
You did mention that, but I don't think that I followed up on that, which unfortunately is a problem. I think of so many angles of so many different kinds of stories that there are times I definitely feel like I kind of shake my head and just think, God, I'm out of my league or something. But which reminds me, James Corbett, he was on Russia Today just a few days ago talking about the situation in Syria. And it just really, again and again blows me away. And to put myself in that situation, if Russia Today contacted me and said, hey, we want to have you on to talk about Syria, I'd go, oh, geez, really? That's not really my area of expertise. But, I think I joked last time, surround yourself with people smarter than you.
Sure, that's what Bob Tuskin did.
Yep, exactly right. And
That's why
my,
he's
my
my friend.
grandfather says he'd rather know a little bit about a lot of things than be an expert only on one thing. To specialize is sometimes not as effective as being well versed and looking at a lot of different subject matters. So when people ask me what kind of activist I am, I don't narrow myself to a 9/11 truth activist or a chemtrail activist. I'm a well-rounded activist. I think we all
Yeah.
need to be, and we also need to not be too well-rounded so that we're chasing ourselves in circles. So we need to also, focus on the root problems of
Yeah.
the big picture here.
What about this banksters warn U.S. to hit debt ceiling by May 16th? MediaMonarchy.com
That's
on
right.
your site, posted from Reuters. Um, the United States will hit the legal limit on its ability to borrow no later than May 16th. I mean, this is getting pretty weird. We might even be looking at a collapse or something, or possibly what if they'll call for another bailout or something?
Or possibly QE3, the quantitative easing,
Yeah.
the third round. This is another story that James and I covered on our latest episode of New World Next Week that we taped earlier today. His take on the situation is that, they're not going to let it happen. They wouldn't let it get to that point to, even as Geithner and Bernanke say, would have catastrophic consequences. For me, the amazing kind of connection between this is to think about the story we covered last week, where now the EPA is basically raising all the limits of allowable, acceptable, healthy levels of radiation.
Yeah.
What difference does it make? Why would we even have these terms and these limits and these set amounts if at any point you go, oh, we'll just raise it?
We talked about that in great length last week as well on the show. But they're threatening now, back to this economic front here. They're threatening now for blackouts for federal workers. I don't know if you heard this, but they're saying that the whole government's going to black out unless they come up with some sort of solution or Band-Aid, because all they are offering, are Band-Aids.
That's absolutely right, and or a junkie, how a junkie needs the fix, but each time it kind of needs more and more and more to get back to the point that they, to get back to normal, as maybe junkie would say. But I'm glancing right now at Google News 35 minutes ago. Obama to meet Reid and Bonner for budget talks, as Reid rejects a 1-week deal. So it's everything on some level is a psychological operation, which I think you guys would probably agree with. Now, whether or not it's an engineered crisis or not, so many things, they just play on a psychological level. So even something like this is another sort of WWF, phony fight, and we'll all kind of pay attention to it, never getting back to the heart of the matter that it's all debt-based fiat currency based on nothing, at interest from private banks.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Going back to this article here at MediaMonarchy.com, this is from Reuters, I believe, was your source. The debt limit slowdowns comes on Congress's struggle to complete a spending package that would keep the government operating beyond Friday. Republicans are seeking to use that bill to enact deep spending cuts, and lawmakers are focusing on a proposal to trim the year's budget by $33 billion, or Federal Reserve notes, a relatively small amount compared with a projected 1.4 trillion deficit.
Yeah.
Keyword in that statement there, debt, the debt limits. This is all debt, and to talk about, giving 33 billion, 1.4 trillion.
That may not be another key part of that, the 33. You always got to keep an eye out for that.
Good point. 33, there it is again.
They could stop spraying us with chemtrails and save 3 or 4 billion, according to the presidential budget.
I enjoy that it says, struggles to complete a spending package that would keep the government operating beyond Friday. That's the point that it's gotten to in the articles, not talking about, fiscal years. They're talking about Friday.
Yeah, that's pretty scary. Banker holidays on the horizon, maybe. I don't know.
So this May 16th date also, and again, I think for folks, as I was maybe just kind of being, self-deprecating earlier, of saying, oh God, I couldn't on the spot talk about the situation in Syria. I don't want to sound like, I'm a dummy, I don't know what I'm doing. I think one of my skills in this area and kind of what I do is, in a way, what I kind of have always done. I've been good at kind of going through media and finding the pertinent points and being able to, kind of either spread that information or tell people about it, because I'm a radio guy. I have a degree in radio and theater, and I was the music director at my college and community radio station for many, many years. And that's why I think a lot of what I have to do and what I do on Media Monarchy is, with these, the pop culture and the memes and all these sort of, whether you want to call it synchromysticism or predictive programming or any of those kind of terms.
Speaking of program and radio, we're on the radio, so that means we got to take a quick break and pay our bills. We'll be right back with James Evan Pilato.